A very good afternoon to you. It is 9 o'clock on this Friday, the 8th of May. Good evening and welcome to NTV Weekend Edition with me, Smriti, Vidyarthi. Now, within the last hour, the number of people infected with the coronavirus is 3,971,738. The virus has killed 273,795 people. On the continent, the number of cases has risen to 56,471 and the death toll is at 2,115. And to the United States, the virus has infected 1,299,912 people, while 77,562 people have died from it. We'll of course look at Kenya in just a moment, but first, the day's top stories. Tonight, they are battling the virus and saving lives, but risking their own.
So healthcare workers contribute to about 5.5% of the total number of COVID cases in the country.
Recoveries top 200 as 14 new cases are confirmed.
10 of these positive cases are from Nairobi, 3 from Mombasa, and 1 from Machakos.
Also tonight, shots and flames in Korogosho. It's all about access to the market.
Walikuja wakatubomolea nyumba, hatuna mahali pa kuenda. Saa hii tena ni soko. Sasa watu waambie sisi tutaenda wapi sisi wa Kenya?
Police attempt to make rough waters smooth with a flat iron, but all it's done is stir it further. And alarm as hospital visits for critical services drop.
The number of children who have not been vaccinated is increasing, and this poses a risk.
The forgotten healthcare concerns during the pandemic.
We should pay attention to COVID-19 aggressively, but make sure we protect those programs that are endemic all the time.
And exit Samson Mwathethe, enter Robert Kibochi.
Everything I know, everywhere I have gone to, most of my experiences have greatly been through my lenses as a military officer.
New Chief of Defence Forces to take oath Monday.
I will personally remember you and your wise counsel and the calmness
Our sign language interpreter tonight is David Agondoa. Now, the number of new infections of the coronavirus has risen to 621 after 14 more patients tested positive for the disease, a decline by nearly half of the cases confirmed on Thursday. Now, the new cases have been confirmed from some 922 samples tested in the last 24 hours. Of the 14 new cases, 10 are from Nairobi, 3 from Mombasa and 1 from Machakos County. Well, this brings the numbers of counties affected to 19 after Machakos joined the list. 9 of the new cases are male, while 5 are female. The youngest is an 11-month-old baby and the oldest is 49. 5 more patients have since been discharged, bringing the total number of recoveries to 202. Now, the country has so far tested a total of 29,430 samples for COVID-19. But it is the rising number of infections among the medical staff on the forefront of the war that is now becoming a cause for worry. Up to 6% of the total infections in the country involve medical staff. Zainab Ismail starts us off.
They are the soldiers on the front line of the war against the COVID-19. But unfortunately, in every battle, there are casualties.
34 out of 621 healthcare workers have tested positive. But I want also to reiterate that so far the healthcare workers have done well even when they have tested positive for COVID-19, and we have not had a mortality or a death of a healthcare worker.
In April, the Kenya Union of Clinical Officers threatened to down tools if the national government did not guarantee the safety of medical practitioners fighting COVID-19. They demanded better equipped personal protective equipment for the frontliners.
Remember, healthcare workers are at the forefront in fighting this pandemic. putting them at the greatest risk of contracting the disease.
Recognizing the critical importance of health, mental and emotional needs of our frontline medical doctors, nurses, and other medical professionals, I am today directing the Ministry of Public Service and the Ministry of Health to develop a welfare package to cushion these frontline officers, especially during this challenging time.
But a section of the Healthcare Workers Union have rejected the way in which the Salaries and Remuneration Commission plans to share the 3 billion shillings package. They say the formula used to share the package is discriminating against some of those in the front line fighting the disease. Meanwhile, the government says it is keeping a very close eye on all the border points across the country following concerns of people moving in and out of the country through illegal routes amid rising cases of COVID-19 in the country.
Porous borders have always been a challenge, not only in terms of the pandemic, but also in terms of trade and illegal movement of commodities and people. And you know that as a country we enjoy long borders with some of our neighbors. It's impossible for government to be able to monitor every mile of every border. But there are borders that are known, Panya routes are known, and what the government is doing is to beef up security levels so that some of those Panya routes can be closed off.
Of the 14 confirmed cases on Friday, 10 are from Nairobi and include 4 from Kasarani, 2 from Makadara, 1 each from Umoja, South Sea, Dagoretti South, and a quarantine facility. Zainab Ismail, NTV.
Well, Grace, to all those on the front line, we do salute you and we are so grateful for the work that you do. We certainly hope that you get the support that you need from the government. Now, elsewhere, traders at the Korogosho market have been engaging police in running battles following demonstrations earlier today. The traders blocked major roads leading into the city to protest ongoing demolitions in Kariobangi that have left a huge trench on the road connecting Kariobangi and Korogosho. The traders say that truckloads of farm produce cannot reach the market.
For the better part of the day, traders from Korogosho market in Nairobi had a run-in with the law. A dispute between the traders and the government over the closure of Korogosho market poured into the streets. The bone of contention is access to the market, which police have blocked.
Haja yetu kubwa ni zile gari ambazo zimebeba mizigo zikubaliwe kuingia sokoni.
Tumerauka kutoka kwa manyumba zetu tunakuja sokoni kutafuta vifaa vya kuuza na hakuna. Wanatufanya nini?
Police tried to calm them down, but that only started further, and they were forced to fire into the air to disperse the demonstrators and to open up sections of Juja Road that had been blocked. Unlike in any battlefront, there are casualties. This man was injured by a police bullet. Lorries ferrying foodstuff to the market were parked on the pavement as traders decried losses.
Hawa watu kuna boga zinaharibikia ndani. Kuna magari inaharibika kwa gari.
On Outer Ring Road, the script was same, only with a different cast. Residents of Kariobangi South took their frustrations to the streets, demanding answers from government on why their houses have been demolished.
Walikuja wakatubomolea nyumba, hatuna mahali pa kuenda. Saa hii tena ni soko. Sasa watu waambie sisi tutaenda wapi sisi wa Kenya? Mtoto wangu wako nje. Nimekuja nitafute nipate rent, niende nikomboe nyumba. Kazi imefungwa. Tunataka tuambiwe haki yetu iko wapi?
After running battles with the police for the better part of the morning, calm returned in the afternoon. The government says the houses were put up in a grabbed piece of land. Jean Gweri, NTV.
The Kenya Army now takes over the leadership of the Kenya Defence Forces after a 5-year stint under the Kenya Navy. The rotation granted to the Chief of Defence Forces position played out in a colourful change of guard ceremony in honour of General Samson Mwathethe, who now heads to retirement. Leila Mohammed witnessed the colourful send-off ceremony at the Department of Defence headquarters in Nairobi.
For one last time, General Samson Mwathethe marched through a guard of honour mounted by the 3 disciplines of the Kenya Defence Forces. His successor, General Robert Kibochi, also took the march, the first of many that he will oversee as the new Chief of Defence Forces. The first order of business was the exchange of the ceremonial flag, one general passing the baton to another. Then the signing of this certificate, marking the legal exchange of power. General Mwathethe was showered with praise after praise.
During his 5-year term, we have seen several changes made as informed by lessons learned.
Mwathethe is a true gentle giant, a calm, purposeful person that even in the midst of a crisis leaves one reassured, because, as he will say it, all will be well. And assuringly, he does. But I also benefited a great deal from his great jokes, most of them deep, some very, very deep.
For the man of the moment, life in the military would have been difficult were it not for the support of family, more so his wife.
To my dear wife, Amina, allow me to congratulate you too. The way I see it is this retirement is for you too. While I spent most of my time pondering military tactics, strategies, and plans, you steered the family.
General Mwathethe has been hailed as a great leader, soldier, and sailor who steered the forces calmly under rough waters twice when KDF officers were attacked inside Somalia, in El Ade and Kulbio.
Everything I know, everywhere I have gone to, most of my experiences have greatly been through my lenses as a military officer.
For the new man in charge, the key focus is overseeing the withdrawal of KDF soldiers from the Horn of Africa nation in 2021.
We, as leadership that you've left behind, undertake, under my leadership, to continue the very good work and effort towards raising KDF's mission readiness to higher levels. I'm proud to take over from you, having had great mentorship.
After receiving gifts, it was time for one last hurrah. It is fair winds and following seas for a man who has spent 42 years as a military sailor. But as he changes into civilian life, the KDF is now changing guard into a new chapter with General Kibochi at the helm. A caravan of his peers, officers above the rank of brigadier, stood in line, each holding a piece of this rope tied to an open-back Land Rover that would ride the former chief out of a place he called home and out into civilian life. The procession sneaks through the aisles of the DOD, affording the general one last wave of goodbye. The procession parted ways at the main entrance where his official vehicle was waiting by. But before leaving, one last look back at his life for the last 42 years. Memories were also captured, if only for posterity. General Kibochi then took the official CDF car as Mwathethe went into his and the two parted. General Kibochi will be sworn in Monday. Leila Mohammed, NTV.
Now, individuals implicated in graft could be forced to surrender back to the state assets whose questionable sources they cannot explain. The decision follows a ruling by the Supreme Court this week in a graft case involving a former public servant, which placed the burden of proof on individuals implicated in graft, while giving authorities the green light to repossess wealth deemed to be from the proceeds of corruption. Silas Apollo has more.
You're taken to court for?
Stanley Amuti, a former finance manager at the National Water Conservation and Pipeline Corporation, has been charged in court in a graft case involving some 41 million shillings. Amuti has built a multi-million shilling estate within a few years, and authorities have questioned the source of the funds, which are disproportionate to his income.
I'm here because of corruption. And is corruption not a criminal offense? If it is a criminal offense, why have I not been charged? My brother, I'm shouting something. Why have I not been charged with that offense? Because what are you punishing? Are you punishing the money that I had, or you're punishing the crime? The crime is that allegation that I was corrupt. Surely that should have been the main matter. But it is nowhere. It's only that I have not explained.
But what Amuti could not explain to the court is how he earned his wealth. It is because of this that the Supreme Court early this week ruled that the state recovers the assets. The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission now says that owning a property and wealth whose source you cannot explain will land you in trouble.
To the senior public officers and those who are in wet areas of government, that the EACC is on the offensive of profiling people who we believe have got unexplained wealth. And with this ruling, we have the morale and even the public confidence.
The Commission says that going forward, it will be upon an individual implicated in graft to prove their source of income or lose it.
Asset tracing, asset recovery, and unexplained wealth is the main focus of EACC.
Legal experts say the precedent set by the Apex Court is unprecedented and could be the silver bullet in the war on corruption.
But now it's very clear that corruption cases will terminate at the Court of Appeal. What that means is that in terms of delaying finalization of corruption cases, that has been significantly reduced.
But even with the unprecedented decision, investigating agencies could still be faced with other legal hurdles.
All these challenges that as they come, we try to address them in different ways. If it is capacity, we are enhancing our training. If it is financial, we ask the government to assist us in looking at our budget in a more broader way. And if it is legal issues, we involve the parliament, and we also involve legal experts.
The Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission says it will put a lot more focus on lifestyle audit and asset recovery, places it calls the wet areas in the fight against corruption moving forward. Silas Apollo, NTV.
The national government, in conjunction with the county governments, have established the Food Security War Room in a bid to alleviate risks associated with rising food insecurity as the country grapples with controlling the spread of COVID-19. Well, this comes as concerns grow that the country may not have adequate food stock, even as intervention measures taken to stem the spread of COVID-19 undermine food distribution. Judith Cherono with the details.
The Food Security War Room, which will be spearheaded by the Ministry of Agriculture and supported by the Council of Governors, will monitor the availability of staple foods and take necessary measures to mitigate any shortage.
Farmers across the country are selling their maize to various millers at market rates. And this is proof that there's enough local supply for the current demand of maize from the last season's harvest. Production is also ongoing, and the ministry is supporting smallholder farmers with access to the necessary farm inputs.
We do have enough food up to the month of June, and after the month of June we expect that we will be having the harvest because it's raining, and between the month of June and when we expect the food to be ready, the small shortage that has been there has already been taken care of.
The War Room is also expected to facilitate the flow and utilization of funds in the COVID-19 Emergency Response Fund in meeting food security needs. Retailers in markets across the country are also being cautioned to adhere to all the COVID-19 prevention guidelines stipulated by the Ministry of Health, even as they go about food distribution.
All livestock markets along Kenya, Tanzania, and Kenya-Somalia borders are shut indefinitely. All livestock markets in Narok County are shut indefinitely. All markets in Kwale County are shut indefinitely.
We now have a situation whereby there's laxity in some of the counties in the market protocols that were given to ensure that we operate without the danger of without the danger of infections.
Some of the efforts by the government to mitigate the spread of COVID-19 have resulted into disruption of food supply chains, which is now translating into tough times for Kenya. It is now hoped that the newly constituted Food War Room will be able to address this challenge. Judith Cherono, NTV, Nairobi.
All right, we are about to take a break, but first we have heard and read about angels, or the supernatural winged beings. Well, for one woman, her angel was an ordinary man who risked his life to save her from raging flood waters. Now, in this undated clip, the unidentified woman was attempting to cross fast-moving waters. Two men then place small branches for a makeshift bridge. One man manages to cross over, the woman not so lucky. She's then swept away by the water and appears to be carried to her death until one man risks it all. There you have it. He pulls her to safety. Amazing. We need more people like that around the world. Let's take a break at this point. More to come when we return.
The risk of illness-causing germs is increasing. It is believed that the coronavirus can remain on surfaces in your home for up to 9 days. Touching infected surfaces is one of the ways in which germs spread. Regularly disinfect your floors, countertops, and kitchen surfaces with bleach, and use an effective toilet cleaner inside and outside your toilet bowl. This message is brought to you by Medifacts, JIG, and Harpic.
John suffers from indigestion. His twin James suffers from heartburn. Sometimes it's the other way around or both. That's why they use Gaviscon Double Action. It soothes within 3 minutes and lasts up to 4 hours. For double relief from heartburn and indigestion, Gaviscon Double Action. If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
Selena! Toto, where's Mummy? Today's a toilet day.
What?
Oh.
Selena!
Toilet day?
Tomorrow we're hosting a party and it's a matter of my reputation.
It's a toilet, not a white shirt.
Even if you spend your entire day cleaning with bleach and detergent,
it still won't be party ready.
Impossible.
Challenge.
Harpic 10X. Even if you use bleach and detergent 10 times, they won't give you the same sparkling clean toilet that Harpic 10X will give you.
Wow! Harpic 10X.
Harpic, Kenya's #1 toilet cleaner.
Who wants to answer? Mary?
Mary has a toothache.
Oh, I see. And who knows why?
Because her tooth is too big.
No, it might be a hole in her tooth called a cavity. That's why I brush twice a day using Colgate.
Imagine this is your tooth and these are food acids that cause cavities. Colgate with calcium and fluoride helps prevent cavities
For maximum cavity protection.
and now available in a 12-gram sachet for fresh breath. Only 15 shillings.
Dettol's main objective is to help children protect themselves from diseases. Do you know how we get illnesses like diarrhea, cough, and cold?
No!
They are spread through germs on your hands. Your hands collect germs that causes diseases. You pick up germs from any surface, like when you don't wash your hands after going to the toilet, while playing. And then you can get sick because of germs. That's why you need to fight germs to stay healthy by washing your hands regularly with Dettol soap that gives the best germ protection ever against many illness-causing germs.
Wash, wash, wash your hands. What you have to do is bath, bath, bath yourself. Dettol soap every day. Wash, wash, wash your hands.
With DSTV Now, you open up a world of possibility where your entertainment is ready for you anytime and anywhere. To get connected, ask your parents to go to the App Store, hit download and log in.
Incredible! Incredible!
And while they're there, with DSTV's parental control feature, setting you up for the most fun and safest viewing around is as easy as 1, 2, 3. Amazing entertainment and learning, anywhere with DSTV.
We're not frightened for nobody, but we respect everybody, and we're better than everybody.
Yes, it's the baddest show, the weekly show, the biggest reggae show all over East and Central Africa.
Dance all of me everything, dance all of me everything.
This Saturday ni kuchachisha, yani ni kuwakisha moto pale NTV Jambo.
Kuna mazito mpenoma sana. Who's the baddest? Nani OG mazee? Tuambie. Anza tweet sahi mazee. DJ Mo alongside Miss Katima.
You know is Jambo right here on NTV.
From 10 p.m. till late. Who's the baddest?
Invest in Amani Rich, the place of peace. Luxury you can afford. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit www.optivan.co.ke.
All right, let's take you to the situation in Eastleigh today. And there were, of course, more cases in the city Friday. Residents of Eastleigh Estate are still protesting a cessation of movement order which took effect 2 days ago. While the chaos had simmered down, Vidyarthi reports that the government may still need to provide a solution soon. The residents are growing impatient due to the lack of income and basics.
The stability here in Eastleigh is still on shaky ground, particularly here in Section 3, where residents have engaged the police in cat and mouse games over the containment measures issued by the government.
2 days into the containment order, and residents of Eastleigh are unrelenting in their antagonism with authorities. As a small section of residents engaged police officers, others watched from their windows in dismay. They still hold that the cessation order has affected supplies of basic commodities.
Serikali yetu iangalie mambo ya haki ya vijana wa Eastleigh. Hapa kuna watu wengi sana wanalalamika mambo ya chakula. So kama kuna chakula inagawa, watu wetu wafikishiwe Biafra, Majengo, upande Airbase, hapa North watu wafikishiwe chakula.
They are now proposing a unity of purpose between civilians, the state and its law enforcers.
Tuko tayari tutoe magari zetu, tuko na zaidi ya gari 6. 2 ni Nissan ya kwenda kuokota chakula kwa manyumba, ya kuwasaidia serikali ili tuhakikishe kuwa wale watu wamepeleka quarantine. Serikali yetu inapigana na vitu kubwa sana. Sisi peke yetu.
These steps would have been filled with laborers from the nearby Mathare area waiting for casual jobs like doing laundry. But now they are just that, empty steps. This row of handcarts would be somewhere out there transporting goods for a quick buck. But now they act as barriers of containment.
If we will not have had food by Monday, we are going to come out of this street. We are going to fill this street, line up. We are going to do a very peaceful demonstration, stand in line, observing the guidelines, 1 meter social distancing, and we are going to demand food.
Bogwa says that if the situation persists, residents will opt for back roads and unmanned routes to beat the containment order.
There are some areas like here in Biafra, down there in the river, even people will even attempt to jump. If somebody thinks if they do not have anything to sleep on, they will definitely try to sneak out and maybe sneak back inside in the evening.
With no new cases reported Friday, the number of cases in Eastleigh stands at 77 out of the 621 confirmed cases. Vidyarthi, NTV.
Now, hand sanitizers are considered the best alternative to soap and water in maintaining high standards of hygiene to keep the coronavirus away. The liquid is now gaining an uncanny affection among some residents of Mathioya in Murang'a County for, get this, its alcohol content. Martin Waura has more.
During this free hand sanitizer distribution exercise in Kireni town last weekend, residents got at least half a liter of the liquid in efforts to curb the spread of COVID-19. but some collected the liquid for another use, quenching a thirst.
Na hivyo mnasema ati sanitizer ati inakunyagwa. Si tunakunywa. Na tunakunywa hiyo kibuyu tukiwa watatu.
Unakunywa kwa nini?
Kwa sababu ina taste kama pombe. Kwa sababu pombe ilifungwa kwa kilabu. Sasa tunaonelea sasa tukunywe hiyo.
The sanitizer, they say, has a sedating effect.
Sasa wewe unalala wewe mkiwa mzuri tu. Kama mtoto. Nikikosa hata asipati usingizi kwa sababu utaota madoto ingine. Sasa mimi natafutaka sanitizer mahali mimi nitapata.
This is hardly shocking for the residents who say alcohol abuse is rampant in the area.
Ni vibaya wasiitumie hivyo. Hii ni ya kusanitize. Na tunawaomba tu waitumie ipasavyo ndio wawe wakisaidika.
Si nzuri kwa sababu iko na a lot of chemicals, huwezi jua ya kukill germs, si ya kukunywa.
Wasiseme hii sanitizer ni ya kunywa, ni ya kunawa mikono kwa ajili ya COVID-19.
Authorities are urging these individuals to be mindful of their health and use the sanitizers for the right purpose.
Na nashukuru chiefs na assistant chiefs wetu na police wetu kwa sababu wamechukua hatua kikamilifu. Sasa tuna uhakika ya kwamba ile tunapatiana itatumika vile inatakikana.
Na tunaomba wananchi wa Mathioya wasijaribu kukunywa sanitizers. Ni hatari hata kwa mwili ya mtu ama kwa maisha ya mtu. So wala ambao watapatikana watachukuliwa hatua ya kisheria.
Those drinking sanitizers claim it is bitter compared to the normal alcohol, but insist they will continue drinking it until when the bars will be opened. Martin Mora, NTV, Murang'a County.
Well, sanitizers are not for drinking. It is as simple as that. And if you keep doing so, as Martin said, some of you said that you will do well, it is at your own risk. Good luck to you. The number of parents and caregivers showing up in medical facilities for routine immunization exercises for their children has dropped in the first quarter of the year. This is according to UNICEF Kenya, which says the coronavirus pandemic has created a general apathy among Kenyans in seeking medical services in hospitals. The Africa Centre for Disease Control and the World Health Organization is urging governments to pay attention to the other healthcare concerns. Ruth Samway has more.
At the Mukuru Kwaruben Health Center in Nairobi, only a handful of parents have showed up with their young ones for a critical immunization jab. This is hardly what this facility is used to. The arrival of the coronavirus has dwarfed the numbers of these routine visits.
The number of children who are being brought for immunization have reduced to about 40%. Normally we could have numbers of, could see 200 children, 250. But right now we are serving less than 20. When we go up a little bit, 20, 25 compared to...
Despite the attempts at tracing and follow-up by the hospital, a majority of the parents have elected not to show up.
We have been doing contact tracing. When we call them, some will tell you they're at home, that is hub country, they have traveled. Some will tell you they have traveled, going to another facility to receive immunization. And a big number, they don't pick up their phones.
Reports show that the coronavirus has brought about a sense of apathy among Kenyans when it comes to hospital visits for these routine checks.
Kama nimeona kwa news hii corona athari zake na pia signs and symptoms, although ilikuwa nchi za nje. Kwa hivyo naweza sema ya kwamba hivyo ndio niliingiwa na wasiwasi, na labda hiyo ndio imepelekea pia sijampeleka mtoto kupima weight hii mwezi.
Peter Okoth is a program officer in charge of child health at UNICEF Kenya. He says hospital visits for immunization have dropped immensely in the country since the arrival of COVID-19, exposing young ones to the risk of medical complications such as polio, measles, and hepatitis.
Between January and April last year, around 430,000 children were vaccinated, received the 3 recommended doses for most of the vaccines. But between January and April this year, we are seeing that numbers reduced to around 318. So we are seeing quite a drop in across all the vaccines. And this shows that the number of children who would have missed their vaccines over the years is going to increase.
The disruption of global supply chains has also affected availability of critical vaccines.
Currently, the country has all the vaccines except one vaccine, the tetanus vaccine that is that is administered to pregnant women and also to those who get trauma as part of protecting them against tetanus. So, but this vaccine, which is in low supply in the country, will be arriving on the 15th of May.
Okot says there's a need to rally parents and caregivers to undertake this critical exercise, especially after the coronavirus is dealt with.
In case there are more children who are not reached, then later on in the year, we are going to have intensified activities to ensure that we get the children who have missed the vaccines. Because failure to meet that have serious consequences for the gains already made in immunization.
But this is hardly unique to immunization. World over, many believe they would be exposing themselves to the virus by visiting the very places it is being treated. This is putting lives at risk, especially in Africa, a continent with weak health systems.
Yes, we should pay attention to COVID-19 aggressively, but make sure we protect those programs that are endemic all the time. So if you combine the deaths toll that results from malaria, TB, and HIV each year, they exceed 1 million across the continent. So that's very, very important that we have to, at the same time, keep an eye on that and make sure that these programs are protected.
As we work on responding to this pandemic, we must also work harder to prepare for the next one. Now is an opportunity to lay the foundations for resilient health systems around the world, which has been ignored for long.
Health facilities say they have put in place measures to curb the spread of the virus and are encouraging Kenyans not to risk their lives by skipping critical hospital visits.
The government has also equipped the health facilities to safely deliver these vaccines and ensure that the social distancing is observed. So safety is assured at the health facilities.
Ruth Sarmoi, NTV.
Elsewhere, Narok Senator Ledama Ole Kina has been dealt a blow after the Senate Speaker, Kenneth Lusaka, agreed to demands by the minority side to de-whip him as chairman of the County Public Accounts and Investments Committee. In a letter addressed to the Vice Chairperson, Kiambu Senator Kimani Wamatangi, Speaker Lusaka notes that he is in receipt of communication from the leader of minority and was guided to follow the provisions of Standing Order 190 to discharge Senator Ledama. Senator Wamatangi will now be in charge of the committee for 7 days as the minority side replaces Ledama. Senate Minority Leader James Orengo has further de-whipped Ledama from the Senate Business Committee and rescinded a decision to recall the 3 other members of the committee. Now we're about to take another break, but the coronavirus pandemic may have stopped our fellow human beings from taking the next flight out, but it certainly hasn't stopped our feathered friends. And almost as if to show off how far he could go without any restrictions, one bird took off from Kenya and flew all the way to China, covering 8,000 kilometers in 5 days. Have a look at Onon Nick. That's the nickname for this bird, and the name is Onon, quote, for defying the odds and its spirit of adventure in the midst of despair. This migratory bird was tracked using a global locator sensor. Now, it left Kenya on April 29th, crossing the Arabian Sea, the Indian subcontinent, the Himalayas, and finally landed in China on the 4th of May. And as if that wasn't enough, Onon is now apparently on its way to Russia via Mongolia. We'll talk about leaving us with travel envy. Let's take a break. More news when we return.
Do your gums hurt? Yeah. Does your toothpaste contain sage, eucalyptus, myrrh, chamomile? All that in one toothpaste? Yes, try Colgate Herbal. Colgate Herbal contains nature's best herbs and Colgate's fluoride technology to give you strong teeth and healthy gums. Ah, Colgate Herbal. Let's go. Colgate Herbal for strong teeth and healthy gums naturally.
Take the following basic protective measures as guided by the WHO. Clean hands frequently with soap and water. Cover nose and mouth when coughing and sneezing with a tissue or flexed elbow. Avoid close contact with anyone with cold or flu-like symptoms. Seek medical care if you have fever, cough, and difficulty breathing. And avoid raw and uncooked animal products. Help the world put an end to the spread of respiratory diseases. Message brought to you by Detrex Germ Protection Soap.
Welcome to the conferencing service.
Emma! Carry on, Ken.
First quarter sales, they are up 90%.
Very good. Very good.
We are looking at a 55 billion shilling profit by the end of the financial year.
Now you're talking. Yeah, we talk billions. Very good. I gotta go. Wacha niendelee na kazi.
A person has left the conference.
Niko nyumbani. Downloads are very fast. Streaming, eco. And I'm just working from here. Stay connected and work from the convenience of wherever you are. Fiber to the home.
Working from home? No problem. Fiber Home has you covered with the fastest and most reliable internet speeds. Get connected today. Kazi lazima iendelee.
Disinfect and protect your home with Jik. Jik kills 99.9% of illness-causing germs. Disinfect floors, kitchen and bathroom surfaces and wash white clothes, towels and dishcloths with Jik bleach. Just Jik it.
NTV Business News in association with KCB Internet Banking.
Welcome to the business news. Now, the gradual reopening of markets in Europe after weeks of lockdown is translating into improving fortunes for Kenya's horticulture sector. According to the data from the Ministry of Agriculture, the sector is now beginning to claw back on ground it had lost due to the disruption of trade brought about by lockdown in key export markets in Europe. Agriculture CAS Anne Nyaga, however, says that challenges still persist with regard to the transportation of cargo, despite the improvement being reported.
Kenya's horticulture exports have recovered up to 70% of pre-COVID-19 level, 3,500 tons per week now, compared to 5,000 tons per week before. However, we are facing freight challenges as exporters only have managed 1,300 tons on a weekly basis against a demand of 3,500 tons. This is due to insufficient cargo space and up to 50% increase in cargo rates by the airlines.
Kenya's rising debt is a matter of growing concern which threatens to present challenges for the economy. This is the take-home from the latest report on the country's economy by ratings agency Moody's Investor Service. On Thursday, Moody's downgraded Kenya's rating from stable to negative, assigning the country a B2 rating. Moody's has raised concern over Kenya's narrow tax revenue base, which is likely to keep the country's appetite for debt high. Moody's has also raised question around Kenya's debt profile, which exposes the economy to foreign exchange risk. Now, the proposal in the Finance Bill of 2020 to introduce a minimum tax to be paid by taxpayers, whether there are loss-making or not, will have a detrimental effect on the economy. This is according to tax analysts at Ernst & Young, who argued that the timing of the proposal is unfavourable. Introduction of minimum tax would mean that all business ventures will now be required to pay a minimum tax if the instalment tax payable is less than 1% of their turnover.
The implication of this is that many businesses which are loss-making will now be making taxes or paying taxes on annual basis. So the problem we see here is that how can you be paying tax and you're making losses? So it's something which has been adopted from various African governments, and closer home is Tanzania, which is doing that. We don't think it's fair in instances whereby somebody is telling you to pay tax when actually you're not making any money in terms of profits.
Shareholders of Athi River Mining now have to wait even longer before they can transact any business on their shares. This follows the decision by the Capital Markets Authority to extend the suspension of the company's shares from trading at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Athi River Mining was placed under administration on April 17, 2018, in line with the Insolvency Act of 2015. As of its last trading price of 5 shillings and 55 cents, Athi River Mining had a market valuation of 5.3 billion shillings. And Bamburi Cement has reported a drop in its 2019 full-year profit to stand at 572 million shillings, 37.2% less than the profit registered in 2018. In the period under review, the company's turnover stood at 36.8 billion shillings, down from the 37.3 billion reported in 2018. The company has attributed this decline in sales to inability to access the Rwandan market in 2019, as well as the shelving of Phase 2 of the standard gauge railway project. Bamburi Cement has also restated its 2018 numbers, revising its net earnings downwards by 6.8% to 572 million shillings. That is your business news at this hour. More news when we return. Don't go far.
NTV Business News in association with KCB Internet Banking.
We can always talk about your account online whenever you like.
Register at your nearest branch for KCB Internet Banking today.
Wajua wanasema food has memory, and those who nourish you are never forgotten. Unakumbuka the auntie who made sure you shibat? We jamaa wa nyama, ule anakuwekea nyama poa ya choma. The dere, happy to share your takeaway. Na huyo mama wa chai, ule ana warm your lunch before you ata uliza. Your mama mboga, ule anakuongezea ata nyanya. Ule waiter kusava haraka haraka. Na ule mandazi lady, ule anakuwekea ndao moja ya baadaye. Na your boda boda rider, ule jamaa kufikisha haraka haraka. Now this is the time to let them know they are not forgotten. This is the time to make sure every table in Kenya has food on it. The points on your phone can be food in their home. When you sit with a plate of food today, pledge to stand for someone who has put food before you. Dial *126# to transfer your bonga points now so they can buy food and necessities at any outlet with a Lipa na M-Pesa till.
Safaricom is for you.
The Governor of Kisumu, His Excellency Professor Peter Anyang' Nyong'o, is pleased to announce to all property owners 100% waiver on all outstanding interest and penalties on land rates valid from 24th April to 31st May 2020 to cushion them from the effect of coronavirus pandemic. Payments should be made to Kisumu County Revenue account details on your screen, and deposit slips to be presented to the respective sub-county revenue offices for database update. Any unpaid rates after the waiver whosoever shall attract reinstatement of the whole amount owed. County Government of Kisumu, Harbour of Prosperity.
Na nikirudi huko umemaliza. Can you tell Kinyanjui to come to my office? Clean up! Kinyanjui, this is a problem, eh? Next time, uende ununue selector yako, utengeneze sandwich zako, uachane na sandwich za boss.
Selector. The difference is in the taste. And now, Selector comes with free Zesta jam for a limited period of time.
Credit to you if you stay at home. If you must shop online, use your NCBA credit card. Stay home. Stay safe.
Oya ni aje, mimi ndo Jonte Fresh. Mimi ndio nimetambulika hii Gikomba yote sekta ya manguo. Jumio transform nguo ordinary za mtush zenye ziuka mna hii harufu ya bail into the freshest igi kosi yote. Siri ni hii Ariel mpya ya pink. Na kushow mtush zinang'ara kung'ara kushinda kamera. So clean, so fresh. Ma customer unaisana na hii story. Ninatumia Ariel touch of down mpya tu.
For a better tomorrow, don't forget to do the 1, 2, 3 with Colgate every night.
Welcome back. The control measures to curb the spread of COVID-19 is changing how nearly everything is done, and Riara University has held a virtual graduation ceremony today. While the graduation ceremony was scheduled for March 19th, the threat of the virus forced the institution to push it to a later date. Now, the Chancellor of the university, also the Chairman of the Nation Media Group, Dr. Wilfred Kiboro, urged the students to never lose hope during these uncertain times and to maintain humility despite what life may bring their way. The institution conferred the degrees of 79 students who are under the School of Law.
Whatever obstacle that comes your way, with resolve, you'll be able to overcome them. And that you'll remain truly curious and adaptable and in lifelong, and remain a lifelong learner. Dear graduates, I urge you never to lose your curiosity. Always listen intently to everyone, including yourself. And please remain humble, but resolute, and love all unconditionally.
Wise words there, and congratulations to all those involved in that ceremony. Kenyans who were stranded in India following the disruption on air travel brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic arrived in Nairobi on Thursday evening. This follows a joint operation between national flag carrier Kenya Airways and the government as part of several humanitarian flights mounted to bring back home Kenyans who were stranded across different parts of the world. Many Kenyans had travelled to India for medical reasons and were stranded due to the restrictions on travel that were imposed by the different governments.
You can imagine how large India is, from Delhi to Bangalore to Hyderabad to Mumbai, really long distances, some measuring over 2,000 kilometers. But we've been able to bring all of them together to Mumbai, and in partnership with Kenya Airways, we managed to get them back home.
Of course, for the individuals, first of all, they're happy to be back home after a long ordeal. But for us at the ministry, in the diaspora section, this means a lot to us because it is our responsibility to mind the affairs of Kenyans who are outside the country.
Just landed from India. I had gone for treatment last year in September. We left here on September 22nd. So the journey hasn't been easy, but I thank God for everything. I've recovered fully. I thank God for everything.
I visited India to see my father
And while my return journey, I just found that we are on lockdown and our flights were cancelled. So it was a bit sad for us to stay there, leaving our home. But we managed the lockdown and the way they have been putting us in quarantine and all we were home quarantine over there.
All right, elsewhere, Wiper Party leader Kalonzo Musyoka has urged the government to resolve the health workers' concerns urgently to avert a strike. At the same time, he has implored the health workers to reconsider their strike notice in a bid to support the ongoing fight against the coronavirus. Kalonzo has also urged the government to ensure the emergency loan from the International Monetary Fund is not misused. Kalonzo spoke as he received more donations through the KMF food basket. Today he was joined by Baringo Senator Gideon Moi.
Your complaints obviously are valid and should be addressed without further ado. But at the same time, let me implore you, with all the humility one can gather, to reconsider your threat to strike action for the greater good of our nation and our people. Because the consequences of actions, particularly at a time like this, can be devastating and be a cause of much suffering. So I think that everything is discussable.
The run in the night, some say they run the night. Many people even refuse to speak about them out of fear. Night runners. They don't want to be known, are hard to spot and are linked to witchcraft in some areas. But Bernard Ojwang caught up with some in the county of Homa Bay who say they are helping with curfew enforcement. Mbio Zasa Karfweni tomorrow, Saturday at 7 p.m. and 9 p.m. Here is a sneak peek.
Netrana tu ni mtu kama mtu kawaida tu. Hawa watu kutambulika ni ngumu. Wanawatambua ila kwa vile hawaruhusi kusema chochote kwa usu ni wanatambulika kama miujiza.
We are not giving people a space for walking throughout the night because we are chasing them.
Ukimwona anakaa kagiza, hivyo huwezi ukamwona vizuri, ni mrefu hivi. Wengine unasikia wanafura wanakuwa kitu kikubwa. Hata chapo kiboko tu pa kuangalia hakuna mtu.
Mtu ako kwa juu ya kiboko likasendwa alafu likakimbia.
We are helping the government to maintain this curfew.
Certainly don't want to miss that one. 7 and 9 o'clock tomorrow. Now, let's have a look at your newspaper tomorrow. And they say when it rains, it pours. And nothing illustrates the truth in that statement better than new tax proposals by Treasury CS Ukur Yatani that will raise the cost of food, transport, rent and raid the pockets of pensioners. So basically, as you were harassing your landlord to reduce your monthly rent or tightening your belt as average incomes fall in the wake of COVID-19, the bean counters at the National Treasury decided to raid your wallet and squeeze the remaining life out of it. Also, take a minute to ponder this. Joshua Waiganjo shot to the limelight in 2012 when he was accused of impersonating a senior police officer. Photos showed him riding in police helicopters, wearing jungle fatigues and inspecting police parades. For this and much, much more, get a copy of the Saturday Nation tomorrow. All right, Brian Otwell has the sports news coming up after this break.
Change your baby's diaper often and as soon as possible after bowel movements. Gently clean the area with mild soap and water or baby wipes. Have a clean diaper. Use diaper ointment to prevent diaper burn, diaper wipes or a container of warm water and a clean washcloth or cotton balls.
Kiss Kids diapers. Kiss Kids. No rashes. Kiss Kids. No rashes. Bye-bye rashes. Buy diapers. Choose Kiss Kids.
We not frightened for nobody, but we respect everybody, and we better than everybody.
Yes, it's the baddest show, the weekly show, the biggest reggae show all over East and Central Africa.
Dance all of me everything. Dance all of me everything.
This Saturday ni kuchachisha, yani ni kuhakisha moto pale NTV Jambo.
Kuna mazito mpenoma sana. Who's the baddest? Nani OG mazee? Tuambie. Anza tweet sahi mazee. DJ Mo alongside Miss Kativa.
You know is Jungle right here on NTV.
From 10 p.m. till late. Who's the baddest?
Every girl I say fit them dying but you.
Invest in Amani Rich, the place of peace. Luxury you can afford. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit www.optivan.co.ke.
Let's have a look at the day's sports news. Welcome, my name is Brian Otwal. With major races cancelled and others postponed, athletes have been left to find ways on how to spend the sudden extra time in their hands. Our reporter Steve Keter visited Amsterdam Marathon champion Vincent Kipchumba in Eldoret and tells us how the marathon runner divides his time between training and farming.
At the Chepkatet Shopping Center in Kapseret, Uasin Gishu County, we find Vincent Kipchumba sharing light moments with his 2-year-old son. After an eventful 2019 season that saw him triumph at the Amsterdam Marathon, setting his personal best time, Vienna City Marathon, as well as the Adana Half Marathon, Kipchumba was looking forward to pushing his limits further. He was planning on making his marathon majors debut at the London Marathon.
Nilikuwa nimejipanga kweli vizuri na hilo changa likatokelezea. Hiyo ikanipea changamoto ya kwamba nitajipanga na kuna siku yenye ndafika nikimbie event yangu ya major marathon katika London Marathon.
With a personal best of 2 hours, 5 minutes and 9 seconds set at the Amsterdam Marathon in October last year, Kipchumba diligently continues with this training as he prepares to face notable athletes like Eliud Kipchoge and Kenenisa Bekele at the London Marathon that has been rescheduled to October this year.
Nikiamka saa 11 na futi na saenda Msuisi nirudi by 7:30 saa 2 nategemea na program. Nikifika na take breakfast alafu naenda kulala.
Though he admits that he misses his training mates back at the Two Running Club training camp in Kapsabet, he says that spending time in his farm helps him kill the boredom as well as giving him an opportunity to make some extra cash.
Wakati ninakuanga na mapumziko na kujanga na dishanga mifuko zangu, mara sometimes nafanya mambo na kulima ya mahindi.
As a marathoner, Kipchumba understands very well that time is money, and with plenty of time in his hands, courtesy of the coronavirus pandemic, Kipchumba is keen to convert every single minute into a money-making venture. Steve Keter, NTV Sports, Kapseret, Uasin Gishu County.
Thank you so much, Steve. They are moving on. Former Ushuru FC head coach Ken Kenyatta and Harambee Stars under-20 assistant coach Hamisi Mohamed have lauded FKF's decision to end the Kenyan Premier League, awarding the title to Gor Mahia as well as promoting Nairobi City Stars and Bidco United from the NSL. Next season's management of the league will be run by FKF, with KPL's contract coming to an end later in the year.
FKF ndio inasimamia football hapa Kenya. So ukiangalia KPL au wanapanga fixture ya ligi vile inavyochezwa. So nafikiri Niki Mwendwa ndio mdosi wetu. Yeye anapopanga, yeye ndiye anajua sheria za football vile zinafuatwa. Yeye ndiye anajua, yeye ndiye akona mikakati ya kudecide. Sisi kama mtu kama mimi kama coach, kazi yangu ni kuprepare team, nipeleke uwanjani. Lakini ni mambo ya administration ni ya Niki Mwendwa.
Na kama ndio sheria imetumika kwamba Gor Mahia wameshinda na federation imeona ni kwamba uhakika kwamba Gor Mahia wameshinda, mimi sioni kama kuna tatizo lolote. Na pia zile timu ambazo kwamba, kwa sababu uzuri wa ligi ni kuisha. Ligi imeisha, huyu amekuwa na point fulani, huyu amepata fulani, huyu ameshinda, timu fulani inaenda CAF, timu fulani walibeba Gold TV wanaenda Confederations Cup pia. na pia kuna timu za NSL zilimaliza namba 1, 2, kuna yani ndio utamu wa mpira hiyo. But sasa hakuna kitu tunaweza fanya, na kama pia federation wameamua kama vile ninavyosema, kama federation wameamua hivyo na ni ukweli, then itabidi tu respect hiyo, kwa sababu wao ndio wakuu wa mpira hapa Kenya.
And it is now official that football teams will be allowed to use 5 substitutes when play resumes after the COVID-19 pandemic, the sports lawmaking body announced. The International Football Association Board, that is IFFB, said in a statement that it had agreed to a proposal by world governing body FIFA for a temporary change to the rules to protect players' welfare. Teams face likely fixture congestion in a packed calendar as they attempt to make up for lost time when they play can resume. The change will apply to competitions scheduled to be completed by 31st of December this year, although FIFA and IFAB left open the possibility that the period could be extended. Each team will, however, only have 3 opportunities to make the 5 substitutions, as well as at halftime or before extra time. And Italian Serie A is attempting to ramp up its preparation for a return out to action, but it has been dealt a blow after 3 clubs, Torino, Fiorentina and Sampdoria, reported positive cases from the tests done as they prepare to return to training facilities this week. 3 Fiorentina players and 3 of the club's staff have tested positive for coronavirus on Thursday. 5 footballers at Sampdoria recovered last month from COVID-19.